Hi, welcome to Wanda. This is your virtual tour of the van, so that when you have your physical handover and you forget everything that we tell you, you can refer back to this for some helpful hints. This control panel controls all of the electrics to the van. The big red button is for the battery. Leave that as on because I don't really know why you ever want to turn that off. Your lighting, your water pump and the fridge are controlled here. The fridge, obviously, if it's really cold anyway, you might as well leave it off overnight to conserve the battery. The water pump I would leave off overnight also, because every so often it makes a hissing noise which can be slightly irritating if you are a light sleeper. And the lighting you can leave on overnight of course, but I'd say when you're going out, leaving the van during the day, flick it off because that then conserves the battery as well. Notice on all of the lights there is a little cap, and to turn the lights on and off it's a question of turning them clockwise continuously to turn them off and on. The sensor tubes in every single light rotate so you can have ambient lighting or directional lighting. So the tap is pretty self-explanatory. You turn it on via this twisting nodule here. Keep going until it comes. You sometimes just have to turn it a little bit further than you think, and then really give it a squeeze to turn it off. So the bottom drawer here is basically your man drawer. It is where every single manual, the hose for refilling it, and also this handy bit of equipment for your water is kept. There's also spare fuses, screwdrivers, torch, I don't know, emergency flares. Pretty much everything you might want to need is in this drawer. So the water tank is internal. It's a 27 litre tank. It is accessed through here, and you literally just pull it. This opening from the handy man drawer, put it in, give it a twist, and then in here you literally fill this using the hose pipe. You've got jerry cans in the back, pretty much any way you find to fill it. Because of this tank here, it means it is safe for drinking, so you can drink it straight from the tap. You don't have to boil it before you can drink it. So the fridge is here. It's a top loading fridge. It's huge, so you've got enough space in there for food for about a week. Actually, the temperature, you only need to have it kind of with this dial pointing to between maybe 1 and 2 at the absolute maximum, because if you turn it any more than that, it's a really effective fridge and you'll end up with just a lot of frozen food. Your hob for cooking is here. It's a 2-burner hob. Literally lift the lid when you're going to cook, and it ignites with a constant push this down, the red button in the middle here, which constantly fires the ignition, and then turn your gas by pushing in and turning. So all your pots and pans, cooking utensils, knives, forks, cutlery, all the rest of it is in these drawers here. The handles turn clockwise to open, and you see you've got all your plates and things in baskets down here, and pans on the top shelf. All your cutlery, everything like that, is in these drawers here. And just a point on the handles, so yes, they'll shut like this, but to actually lock them you need to just give it a twist to the right. So anti-clockwise to open here, clockwise locks it in place. So your heating unit is here. The heating is gas powered, which we will have filled up before you have left for your trip. To turn it on, it's a question of 1 click, which will fire the fans up, 2 clicks, which will then fire the actual gas through to do the heating. It's temperature controlled here, so if you're really cold, turn it to the hottest. And then when you see the green lights on here, which we'll just wait for that to kick in, it means that the gas is then fired and the heat will start coming through the 2 vents that are on the floor and behind the sofa. You can leave the gas on overnight. However, you will use a heck of a lot of gas doing that. So because it's a kind of a compact van, what most people do is turn it on for half an hour before you go to bed. You won't need it on, in our experience, the rest of the night. And then when you wake up, to avoid chilly toes and noses in the morning, just fire it on for half an hour whilst you make your cup of tea, and that's pretty much all you need. It gets hot in this van really quickly. And then to turn the heating off, obviously pretty self-explanatory, but 1 click, 2 clicks, back to this 0 off button at the top here. Occasionally, the green light will turn into 3 flashing red lights, because a part of the course of having gas heating in your camper van means occasionally the gas will lock out. Please refer to our other video on YouTube for instructions as to how to clear that. It is as simple as turning it off and on again, but that will go through the process in a little bit more detail. So all the cupboards, you can see, are super easily accessible because you've got bungee cord, which means you can just reach in, grab your coffee, shove it back in. It's really easy. If you have larger stuff, they literally unhook at the top, so you can pull the bungee down for getting larger items in there, and then it literally just hook them back over. So the Skylight is pretty cool. You've got a blackout blind one side, and you've got fly mesh the other side. To open it, push that in, and you can have it open just a little bit, which will lock in there, or a huge amount, which locks in there, and they just lock in the various ones. Really, 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 really important, please make sure that it is shut before you drive off, because otherwise the wind can take it, which will damage it inevitably, and they're about 200 quid to replace if they do get damaged. So really make sure before you drive that vent is shut. So the table here is literally a flip up table. Pull out the bungee cords there, pull the table up, mind your knees, and it only goes 1 click to secure it down. Pretty solid. To put the table back down, you'll find underneath here there are 2 little clips which you push in, which releases the spring, and then it just folds back down, and to secure it back in place with the bungees. The bed is incredibly easy to pull out over and over for the evening. So you literally grab hold of the tape here to pull the bed face outwards. This cushion folds along to this bit. 2 Velcro tabs, and then that base will slot down here. There is also an extra bit of sort of sofa, we call this a sausage, so that once you put the base down, you'll note that one of the heating vents is actually on the bed, so whoever gets this side is going to be really super toasty and warm. But it's really, really important that you do not cover that vent overnight, or actually at any point that the heat is coming out of it, because of course that's blocking vents is a bad idea. So when you slot the cushions back together, that sausage shape means that you haven't got you know, any blockages, and then you're basically free to put your sheets down over the top of this stuff, and then your duvets down, and chill out for the night. So you've got 2 USB charging points here. One is currently in use for fairy lights because that's super important, and you also got a 12-volt point as well. You can use the USB chargers at any point because they work off the battery. That's absolutely fine, but it's really, really, really important that you don't use the 3-pin plugs unless you are on hookup, because well, A, they won't work, and B, you'll overload the battery, and that is a bad thing. The 3-pin sockets are located in this cupboard here. As I say, only ever to be used when you're on hookup. At the rear of the van, you've got a ton more storage. So the side drawers, they just literally pull open. And these drawers push in to then pull out, and you can fit awful lot of stuff in all of these. And the really cool thing about these is, okay, to stop you getting wet, you don't actually have to go out to access the top ones. You can access them from inside by pulling open these little inserts here. The van up, please remember, it is this door first. Basically the one with the black edging here is the one that goes first. Otherwise you'll risk damaging the back doors, which is a dreadful thing to consider. So your hookup point for when you're on a campsite is here. Literally with the hookup cable, plug one end into the van and the other end into the hookup point at the campsite. Wanda has got solar panels. She's got a massive solar panel on the roof. So that will keep charging the battery throughout the day. Obviously works best when there's a lot of sun. So yes, you can definitely go off-gridding in Wanda, but because she's only got one leisure battery, we would recommend very much that 3 days is the maximum that you actually spend off-grid before going to find somewhere to hook up. Otherwise, you could end up running the battery down and that needs replacing. You can keep an eye on the battery levels. If you're super geeky, we can give you the link for the app for the solar panel, which means you can monitor how much actually is being charged by the solar, and also just keep an eye on the battery. So long as it isn't dropping below sort of 11.9, you're good. If it drops below that level, you really need to find somewhere to hook up. So there's no waste tank on this van. The wastewater drains directly from underneath the van and will come out a point somewhere around about here. Really importantly, of course, you're not putting food down the sink, you're not putting anything that should not be released back into the environment down the sink. So long as there's only water, you know, it will drain directly out, and that's absolutely fine. Otherwise, put a bowl underneath it, and then you can empty that at any campsite. So inside the cab, you will find the gas level gauge. This indicates how much gas is in the underslung tank that is filled with auto gas. This will be filled with sufficient amount of gas for your trip before you go. I'll be really impressed if you manage to use it all up to the point of needing to refill it. This has never happened in the history of hiring out this van because it's a super economical, say, on the heating and the cooker. That's really all it's using the gas for. So if the gas does go down to say maybe 1 bar and you're worried about you not having enough, you are able to take this to get this refilled. The gas is filled up by here. You literally pull the nozzle off and it's filled up, as I said, through auto gas with a bayonet connection. Be really careful when you're doing this because some things, you know, if you're not used to doing this, you know, things can go wrong. So it's a case of don't overfill it ever. In fact, I recommend don't put more than 8 to 10 pounds in if you're previously on a 1 bar on the gas level gauge. And if you're at all unsure, please get someone to come and help you from the petrol station, because if you do overfill this, it can actually cause quite a few issues with the amount of gas that's in the tank, and it becomes unsafe, and then it's a right hassle to get that sorted. So in the cab, the control panel, the cockpit of Wanda, there's a few things that I show you around you might find helpful whilst you're driving. So number one, the handbrake. In a van, handbrake is super effective. So to release it, you kind of put it up a little bit first, then push the button in, and then release it down. Sat nav is a TomTom that is integrated into the screen, which is pretty cool. It works via remote control, which is on a piece of string. Please don't lose it. I have no idea where to go to get another one. It's not touch screen, so it's literally a case of, you know, following the things on here and using the buttons to operate it. You have got air conditioning, which is pretty cool, and obviously heated windscreens, everything that you might want to need, and an extra 12-volt point here. The fuel will be full when you leave for your trip. We really appreciate it if you return it back and completely with a full tank. Otherwise, of course, it avoids you getting charged for any fuel that we have to go and put in ourselves. So van security is of course really important to us, to you, to everyone else that is hiring out or taking camper vans, to avoid theft, because you know, it does happen and it seems to be happening more frequently than not at the moment. We have invested in a disc lock. It is super easy to put on. You literally kind of wrap this around the steering wheel, push this top black point in here, slide it along, and then push the pin down. So please, whenever you're stationary, whether it's overnight, whether it's, you know, you obviously just like left the van to go out for the day or whatever, please put this on, because it's just extra security, peace of mind for everyone involved. To take it off, it is a question of putting the key in until it slides and you can hear that click through, and then just removing it. So before you set off on your journey, there's kind of like a health and safety checklist that is kind of useful to run through. Basically means make sure that everything that needs to be bolted and battened down is done. So have you shut all the drawers in the back? Have you turned the handles so that they're definitely locked? Have you put the skylight vent down? Have you opened the curtains here and at the back so you can actually see through? All those kind of things, super important. Anything loose that could roll around, you don't want to you know, fall over and damage anything. Make sure that is all shut away. I know that sounds like I'm stating the obvious, but we've all been there, we've all done it. It's really important. And whilst we're in the cab, again, just a note to say that the van is diesel. She only likes to drink diesel, she doesn't like to drink petrol. I think that's everything. Have fun on your trip, have a great time wherever it is that you are going. If you have any queries, questions about anything to do with the van whatsoever, drop us an email, give us a call, and we'll come back to you as soon as possible.